Today's edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were bringing you lasted for farming sources and information sponsored by AgriGold. Today's edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were bringing you lasted for farming sources and information sponsored by AgriGold. We were glad you're here for today. His book is Kafka Suck, and he was an executive director of National Association of Farm Broadcasting and former president of the Nafb Tom brand. Tom is retired from farm broadcasting and just chilling at home in St. Joseph, Missouri. I am glad to have him today. And then I'm here with Karl from conus. We were talking about the commodities markets, especially with the balance sheet on today. You've been hearing on Back Roads of Illinois. This is your commodities markets for this afternoon, sponsored by Kyle Bumstead from Allendale Incorporated. September corn is down at 8 to 6 cents. December corn is down at 5 to 10 cents on quarter. November beans are down at 3 to 5 cents. January beans are down at 5 to 8 cents at the head. September KC wheat is down at 9 to 4 cents. December KC wheat is down at 3 to 6 cents. September Chicago wheat is down at 5 to 8 cents. December Chicago wheat is down at 3 to 6 cents. Livestock markets are up in the grains. August cattle is up at 3 to 6. September cattle is up at 5 to 10 cents. August feeder is up at 9 to 10 cents at the head. October feeder cattle is up at 5 to 8 cents. July hogs is up at 5 to 10 cents. August hogs is up at 4 to 8 cents. This been your commodities markets for this afternoon. His book is Kafka Suck, and he was an executive director of National Association of Farm Broadcasting and former president of the Nafb Tom brand. Tom is retired from farm broadcasting, and he is the director of St. Joseph Community Alliance at home in St. Joseph, Missouri. I am glad to have him today. Tom, how are you, and welcome to join us for our show.
Thank you very much, Caesar. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. It's been a few years since we've had a chance to visit, and I'm excited to reconnect and just have a nice conversation today.
Let's discuss about your book. Is well done, your book, Kafka Suck. What did you decide to put that title of this book?
Well, the story goes back. It's something my dad said when I was a young kid and probably didn't have a full grasp of every word that was out there. We were in the hog lot. We were working on putting some hog panels up. I was probably 4, 5, 6 years old, and Dad told me to keep the hogs off the pile of panels, and I wasn't doing a very good job at it. And so he reminded me, keep those hogs off those panels, or I'll put welts on your butt a calf could suck. And I've told people I did not know what a welt was, but I knew if it was big enough that a calf could suck it, I sure didn't want it on my hind end. So I got pretty serious about the task at hand, and that was something my dad said. I don't think he would have ever acted on it. He wasn't one of those that would have ever given you that kind of a spanking. But it turned into a bit of a joke, I guess you could say, over time. And I told him 20 plus years ago. If I ever wrote a book, that would be the name of it. And so that's not only the name, that's also the first chapter in the book too, is telling that story about growing up on the farm and different expressions that Dad used to say.
How many of heads of hog you had?
We actually farrowed out 110 sows at a time. And in the 1970s and in the 1980s, that was quite a few hogs. We only had 35 of those that were in crates in what we called the farrowing house. The rest of them were in 2 and 3 pen sheds that we would let out in the morning and then again in the latter part of the afternoon. And we regularly kept, probably 350, 400 either gilts or sows around the place. And so we'd get done farrowing one set of sows. We'd turn them back in with the boars after the pigs have been weaned, and we'd bring another set in and then start in on farrowing again. So I grew up with a lot of hogs around. Now a 110 sow operation wouldn't be that big of an operation, but at the time we were running a lot of hogs compared to what most of the folks in our part of the state actually did.
Do you have few hogs for right now?
I've told people that it would be it'd be kind of fun to have a half a dozen head of sows around, but in fact, there's no farrowing house left on the farm at home. Those 2 and 3 pen hog sheds, they're gone now. What we called the old farrowing house got hit by a windstorm here a few years ago, and so it's no longer there. I'm afraid that hogs are a thing of the past when it comes to brand farms outside of Hopkins, Missouri.
What is your final thoughts on your legacy of former farm broadcaster? Could you tell us how your final round of the business of farm broadcasting?
You know, when I think about that career in farm broadcasting, as I mentioned earlier, it's one that I'm thankful that was a part of my career path. Um, I often made the comment to my manager at the radio station here in St. Joseph that I had the goal of making sure people kept tuning in and kept listening to the radio. As far as I was concerned, they weren't tuning in to listen to me. They're tuning in to hear the information that I had to share. And I think while it is very important that a broadcaster has a relationship with their audience and is able to visit with them and connect with them, the farm broadcaster's most important role is to be the disseminator of information. I was just reminded in the past couple of weeks, if I've got a grain bin full of corn, and I hear the farm broadcaster talking about the market getting stronger and higher and better per se, that makes me kind of excited. On the flip side, if I'm a guy that's got a lot full of cattle and I don't have any grain in the bin, I'm going to have to buy feed. The last thing I want to hear is about a rising feed bill and rising corn prices. I want things to be somewhat steady, but of course, I also want a higher cattle market. And for a farm broadcaster to find that right sweet spot in the middle, to be able to tell what the markets are doing, why the markets are doing, what they're reacting to, I think that can be a challenge because it's easy to get caught up in the emotions of something that's going better for someone, but also trying to keep in mind that it may not be that it's something that's better for someone, but what's better for the ag economy as a whole. So even today, even though I'm still nearly 15 years removed from the last time that I cracked the mic and did a market cast, to me, I still tune in, I still listen, I still appreciate the job that farm broadcasters are doing, serving their audience all across the country, even outside of the back roads of Illinois and this middle part of the United States, where we concentrate so much on row crops. I think about our farm broadcasting friends in California that are covering the fruits and vegetables, and excuse me, the folks that are in Florida that are covering the citrus industry, and even folks that may be more concentrated on livestock, whether it's a cattle in the West or dairy that's in different parts of the country. I think we've all got a unique role in connecting with an audience and in being strong disseminators of information in a balanced and in a fair way.
I agree. It is pretty simple to be shared on the markets with these prices.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think about those times that I'm sorry, I got a tickle there, Caesar. Those times that was keeping track of markets and spreadsheets and history and how interesting it's been to see the cycle of business that takes place. I talked about those hog markets earlier. Who would have thought that I would have seen $62 hogs and $8 hogs in a short amount of time in my life? And who would have thought that we would have got away from some of the grand corn and soybean prices that we had just a few years ago? We know that there are so many factors involved, whether it's the end use that we have here, or if it ends up on a shipping container and headed to China or to some other area of the world. And then how the global market affects things too. So markets have always been something that's fascinated me. There was times that you're just reporting the markets because it was what you did, and you couldn't get excited or even just stagnant about them. It was just part of the routine. And there's times that I got extremely excited about reporting the markets because that was what was in the news as well. The markets themselves were the news. There's other times that I really enjoyed reporting the news itself and and looked forward to the next newscast more than I did the next market cast. So it's funny how things are cyclical like this, and I think that's what made the profession enjoyable was the fact that every single day was something different.
Thanks, Tom. I am glad that you're here to tell about your book with us.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I'll put in a plug. I've got the copy here. Waltz on Your Butt, a Calf Could Suck. I've got it online at richardsonpress.com, or folks can also find it on Amazon. If they like stories about farm life and farm broadcasting and stories of faith and just having fun with the family, each one of those stories in there, there's over 50 stories, nice short reads. I hope that they enjoy it if they have a chance to pick up a copy. And I appreciate the chance to be on board with you today as well, Caesar. Thank you.
This is Tom Brand from St. Joseph, Missouri, and of course you can find his book, Calf Could Suck, online. You've been to back roads of Illinois. The fundamentals and technicals side in the grains markets for right now with the world supply and demand report in livestock markets. It's looking through the technical aspects on it. We were talking about it with Karl Searselter from conus. Karl, how are you?
I am very well, Caesar. Thank you for having me today.
Okay, Karl, let's discuss about the grains market for the fundamentals. How are your thoughts on it?
I think right now trade is a lot more focused on what we're seeing for production side than the demand side. The big yields, the perfect so-called perfect crop in Iowa. It looks like we're spending a lot more time focused on that and the development of the crops than we are on the potential that we could see, maybe some yield stress. Maybe yields aren't quite as high as what the USDA is projecting, but more so, it seems like we're I should say, underestimating our demand. We have had incredible exports here for the past several weeks, and trade really hasn't put too much interest in them, really just not paying a lot of attention to the demand side. So I fully believe that the market does need to put a little bit more attention on that. Our export sales, our ethanol grind, and once we see a bit of a fundamental attitude shift in the market, where we would go back to watching our demand and such, I think the market will adjust accordingly at that time. I would expect to see better futures values once we do.
What is the trends for this weather premium, Karl?
Yeah, that's one of the problems right now is we don't have weather premium in the market. We just don't. The market's been futures have been trading in a market that's really kind of comfortable with the stocks and the numbers and everything else. We just haven't seen any really what I would call significant buying or weather premium added to the market. Even some of our big name traders have picked up on that. Some of the bigger firms, the ADMs have noted that there's a lack of risk premium in this market right now, and the general feel is that it's okay right now because everything looks good. But like I said, I think once we get into July a little further towards the end of the month, trade will start looking more at August and September. And weather in those 2 months has actually been a lot more in having a lot more of an impact on yield lately than earlier growing season weather. I think we'll start to see the market add premium if it's needed when we get to that point.
I heard about this crop is under stress for right now. What is your thoughts on that really quick?
Yeah, I do think that the crop is under some stress, especially in the eastern corn belt. When we get out here in the Ohio Valley, it was a lot wetter this spring and it was cool, and that has affected the crop. I'm not saying it's a total loss, but if I had to pick out one spot where there definitely is some trouble, it would be in the eastern corn belt. The other thing is with the crop and the constant wet, it's not just pressured the crop, so to speak. It's really caused an uneven crop, and that's one of the greatest concerns right now is this extreme variability in fields from one region to the next.
Can you explain to our audience on the grains markets, on this grains markets, are we going to see weather premium on the corn markets?
I think we will. We've made it, going to make it through pollination here. Okay. The next big concern will be when we get to the ear fill, and that won't be until August. We start to see a lot more of that take place, and the market focused a little bit more. So I think, yeah, once I think we get through into the end of July here, and we can see what the weather, at least get a better indication of what weather will be heading into August and into the crop fill time, that's when we'll probably see the most reaction or the most weather premium added. It won't necessarily be weather premium, so to speak. It'll be risk premium buying in the futures that we would probably see at that time.
How is the wheat harvest in Michigan?
It's going along pretty good. We're making rapid progress. had a little bit of concern on some of the wheat quality when we started out, some black tip reports, but those quickly passed up. I would say we get another 2, 3 days of good running here. At least we should be, at least by the time we get to the weekend, we should be on the downhill slide of our wheat harvest. Yields pretty good, pretty much in line with what we've seen over the last few years here. I think total wheat production in southern Michigan are going to be down a little bit just because we didn't see quite as many acres planted this year as we have in the past.
We'll have that in the cattle markets with these cattle trends for right now. Do you have any concerns about these prices?
Yeah, one of the concerns I have in the livestock market right now, and particularly cattle, is our consumer demand. And while consumer demand has been very good for beef and beef products, I'm a little bit worried because the high prices we've seen for cattle that packers have had to pay up, and getting these, 240, $50 cattle, is that that beef is just finally making its side into the retail case. I do think that's going to probably cut our demand a little bit. Our export demand remains very good on beef, and that's been supporting cattle. The other thing is right now we have our 50% tariff that's being projected on Brazilian beef imports. That will slow down our demand and our production because we will see values act accordingly. And the bulk of U.S. hamburger does come out of Brazil. We get cattle to grind plus the beef. They have the choice and the select cattle that we need to make our beef production out of. U.S. cattle coming in prime or better, it just simply makes more economical sense to sell our beef and import ground beef for hamburger. I'm a little bit more worried about that long term, what it could mean for the economy. But in the meantime, it has supported our feeder cattle, especially fat cattle, starting to take some support from it now as well. But all in all, our cattle complex, until we see consumer demand actually drop off and we get verified reductions, I think we hold in there pretty good.
We will see for this price at 320 today. Do you recommend for LRP on the feeder cattle?
I think it comes down to an individual choice for each producer, and you should really talk to your insurance agent and see what works out best for you. But I think in today's market, on the feeders, if you have to buy, if no matter what side you're on, you're going to want to have risk management in place because the volatility is so high. You're going to want to protect yourself.
Hmm. What is your final thoughts about the acreage report?
Yeah, the USDA came in, and obviously our planted
This
acres
is
are up
Karl
quite a bit. I think our acres are probably
Go
pretty
ahead.
in line with what the USDA had. I'm watching the harvested acres. USDA made a pretty sizable reduction to our harvested acres in the June 30th release. It wouldn't surprise me if we came in actually even a little bit lower on our harvested acres, given some of the anecdotal reports we're picking up across the Corn Belt of uh, abandoned acres from excessive moisture, and the simple fact that some crops and we have losses every year. But I think it might be a little greater this year, given the tough spring we had, especially in that Ohio Valley.
Thanks, Karl. I bet you're ready for this season in Detroit for some football.
Absolutely. Hopefully it'll be another good year for the Lions.
I picked the Bears.
I'm not surprised, my friend.
This is Karl from conus on back roads of Illinois. Thanks, Tom Brown from St. Joseph and Karl from Koenigsegg. This been back roads of Illinois. I am Caesar Delgado. You have a great day.